Hey, it's Sonia, and welcome to the SMARTA Podcast.
Hi, and welcome. I am so truly excited for you to meet someone today that truly knows how to light up a stage and connect with people on a deeper level. And I'm talking only about Ben Munday, which is an event host, an MC, a speaker, and a communication coach that blends the physical body with the creative mind to deliver experiences that are as vibrant as they are meaningful. And my favorite quote from his website, which I pulled out, is your energy introduces you before you even speak. So just the focus of your posture, your body language, how you introduce yourself in a new room with an audience that is unaware of your work and what you do and how you carry yourself is the first impression that they have of you that they're going to take away. And that just blew my mind. Now, more about Ben. As VP of Education at Berlin's most established public speaking group, Ben has spent over a decade developing a unique toolkit rooted in cognitive and somatic coaching. He now helps leaders, speakers, and professionals master the art of influence, presence, and communication. We met at the Impact of Bucharest event where he shared the stage with global icons like Michelle Obama and Erin Meyer. And I can tell you, his presence and energy were absolutely unforgettable. Now, today we'll explore the secrets of communication beyond words, the power of non-verbal influence, and how anyone can develop a leadership presence that truly inspires. Get ready for Ben Munday. Welcome on the SMARTA Podcast. It's great to have you here.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much, Sonia, for having me.
Ben, your career spans coaching, public speaking, and hosting events at the highest level, including where we met at Impact Bucharest event. I want to take you first is what would you say are the top 3 key takeaways the listener won't want to miss from today's conversation?
Just 3 or have
Yeah, we have to compress it up to 3. Let's see if you're
I think that what I hope that people get out of this is the importance of both the physical, the mental, and the emotional. So we're going to look at body, mind, and emotions, spirit. I want to share with you lots of practical insights and with your guests, practical insights which they can immediately use and action in their life that are zero cost and just immediately the things that they can do. And I'm going to let them know the number one, most important thing that they can do at any time to be more successful and more happy in their life.
Okay, let's dive right into it. What is the number one thing that they can do?
I'm not telling them that to start with.
Oh, right. It's cheating. They'll have to listen until the very end.
But I like your interest and your curiosity.
You've built your approach on combining the physical body and the creative mind. I just came off your website, benjimunday.com. And you have this phrase that I pulled up from there that I absolutely love. And it's your energy introduces you before you even speak. Ben, can you share what that means in practice and how it can change the way someone communicates on the stage or in a meeting?
Yes, your energy introduces you before you even speak, but also your body speaks louder than words.
Yeah.
What does that mean? That means that humans, us, individuals, groups, collectives, we are always judging people. I know, it's terrible. Oh no, we judge people. Yes, that's what we do. We judge people because we are generally looking out for signs of safety, signs of threat. With people that are threatening, we kind of want to move away from and kind of defend ourselves, protect ourselves. And for people that we feel safe around, we feel comfortable, we feel restful, we can relax, we can be more spontaneous, creative. We just have more fun, right? So when anybody comes to meet you, before you stand up on stage, before you walk into a room to give a presentation, as you jump off the bus and you come to meet your partner, lover, parent, whatever that might be, they are already reading all the signals that you are sharing from your body. And that might be the lightness of your step, which might kind of mean something about your mood. They might feel the grip of your hand. They might see the color in your skin. For example, if you have more kind of lighter, brighter, more kind of flushed, more blood to the skin, you look healthy. And therefore, subconsciously, your viewer, audience, listener will judge you to be someone who is nutrient rich and ready. So basically, we're making all of these judgments. And so I'm going to take this from one of your guests earlier. His name was Juan Bendana. He talked about enthusiasm. And we'll come to it later. But the idea is that what you bring to the table, your audience will already think and judge of you. So what energy do you want to bring into the room? Is it focused? Is it really high intensity energy that's inspiring and motivating? Is it one of openness and empathy? So just being conscious of what we are subconsciously communicating before we even open our mouths is incredibly powerful for the other person on the other side.
And I absolutely agree, because it's very interesting that you say, that actually our body language speaks louder than words. There's so much research that just shows how critical and negatively wired our brain is. For just 6 seconds, all of our perception on that person is formed. And whether you sort of slunch and walk in with your eyes glued on your phone in a room where everyone is loud and you instantly feel intimidated, that can easily be changed, as you share in a lot of your speeches, that you can do a certain posture change and walk in more confidently, and your posture can shape your future. And you started this in your TEDx talk that you said over 1 year ago, Tools for Leadership, Body Swiss Army Knife. And you know that your past shapes your posture, but your posture shapes your future. What would you say are the most common mistakes that people make trying to influence or leading through communication?
Well, thank you so much for sharing that with your listeners and doing wonderful research to begin with. Common mistakes that people make around that. The first one, I think, mindset shift, certainly in kind of leadership, is the idea that you're the most important person in the room, because leadership needs people to listen to them, people to follow. I think people can be very quick to say, this is what I'm thinking, and focus very much on their own story, or what they're saying is the most important thing. That kind of, again, that kind of focusing on self and therefore shutting the other out. Think also, I think, and then what helps that, again, we wanted to talk about these kind of insights that hopefully are helpful, is something what we call around audience analysis, like framing questions. Like, who are you speaking to? Who is it that's across the table from you, or who is it that's in your audience? Because depending on who it is you're speaking to, you can then tailor your message. Within my public speaking work, I look at OMR. So what's the objective of what you're trying to achieve? What's the message that you're trying to share? And then the R is the relevance. How do you make whatever it is that you're trying to communicate relevant to that audience? Because I'm sure, like most of your listeners, perhaps yourself, you've listened to somebody speak and thought, what are they even trying to say? So yeah, just to summarize, thinking that it's all about you and you're the most important person and not being considerate of your audience, and taking a moment beforehand to know, who is your audience? How do I make it relevant? What am I trying to achieve? What's the objective? And what's the message that I'm needing to share here?
Let's talk about nonverbal communication here, because your body language speaks louder than words. What would you say are the most important body language signals that leaders and speakers should master to connect authentically with their audience?
I think there's lots, and they can do very quickly. Some of your audience, if they're listening audio, will not be able to see. But what I'm trying to, well, actually, when we set this call up, I said, why don't we do this standing? And because of technical setup, it wasn't quite so easy from your side. But one of the things that I will immediately share is, the more information that I give you, the more comfortable, more reliable, and therefore more safe that you trust me to be. So for those that can't see me at the moment, what I'm trying to role model is being able to see my upper torso, my stomach, and my hands, and having very good lighting in my room so you can see my facial features. And I'm also allowing you into my personal space, my what is my kind of the back bedroom kind of office space, and there's books, because all of this is communicating to you, hopefully, something that's going to create connection. We'll come back to connection. So what can people do? Show as much of you as possible, certainly if you're in line. So with open gestures, I'm signaling to you or my audience that I feel safe, that you're not going to harm me. And if I can role model feeling safe around you, I can allow you to feel more safer around me. So open body language, open palms as well. The hands through history have always been the kind of thing that's holding the tools, holding the instruments, the weapons. And so showing you my hands shows you I'm not a threat to you. I'm safe. I'm not going to attack you. I'm open. Instead of kind of keeping my hands behind my back, or maybe in my pocket or below the screen, where you'll just very slowly start to think more kind of negatively about what's he doing with his hands. So what have we got here? So we've got open palm gestures, open body language. I try also to create symmetrical hand gestures. Symmetrical hand gestures are more reliable than doing semi or kind of unsymmetrical things where I'm making your brain work twice as hard because you're having to focus on two different parts of my body. So symmetrical hand gestures, or as much as I possibly can, that create a reliableness in you, makes it easier for your brain to watch me. And hopefully I'm trying to create a coherence between the words I say, that might be the momentum that I'm using, or what we call baton gestures, where I might pick things out with my hands. So again, reliability. So it makes it easier for you to understand me. And you know, I try and talk about big issues with my hands wide, and I talk about small issues and I bring my hands together. So I'm just being very aware and being sensitive to, again, what is my message and how am I using my body? And that, of course, then goes a lot along with eye contact as much as possible, smiling, and also many, many, many things before. So they're the kind of starter things. Symmetrical gestures, open body language, show your belly, take your time, slow gestures, away you go.
You know, you instantly made me think about this TEDx talk that I watched on the difference between great and good leaders. And it was this case study on great leaders that in every TEDx talk that got over 1 million views, they have over 500 different hand gestures throughout the 15-minute video. And I think that links perfectly back to your idea of open palms. You've talked to me about OMR. I want to dive deeper into that and particularly ask you on how you adjust your style and tone and energy depending on the audience you're delivering your host to.
Sensitivity. Before I did with the coaching and I looked at the somatic work and the embodiment work, soma is the Greek for body and embodiment is that, well, the way I like to think about it is soma and somatic work is the kind of felt experience of the body as we move through the world. And embodiment is the ability to change the way that you do something, to change the way that you feel and you think. And going back to who is it that you're speaking to, your sensitivity to who that person is vital. Because if it is a group of 5-year-olds who are really excited at a birthday party, that's going to be a very different than what you walk into a group of friends in a restaurant or a CEO board of executives or a church where you're going to meet a happily married couple, let's say. So sensitivity is really important to know what's going on there. And the other thing which I think is really powerful in leadership is meeting the person where they are and then taking them to where you want them to be. And what do I mean by that? Again, emotion is contagious. Yeah. So have you had that experience where you kind of been a bit
Absolutely.
low and you've met a friend of yours who's in a good mood and within seconds, what happens?
A smile appears on my face.
Yeah. Like, oh my God, this person totally cheered me up. The same as we have those people in our lives that are also just heavy, they're negative, they're sad, or they just are more like that. And what happens when we're with those people?
You get a frown on your face. You sort of sag down.
So your emotion is super powerful. So who are these people? Can I feel into what's the situation? What's the context? And then can I meet them where they are? Because sometimes, if for example, on the MC stage, I might have finished a panel or a panel has finished and it's been 30 minutes. It's been a super heavy topic, really interesting on fintech and regulatory boards throughout the kind of European markets. And that's a lot to listen to for 30 minutes. So I can't just come on stage and go, wow, that was brilliant. That was wonderful. This is great. I need to be able to match that tone and then know that I want to take it somewhere else and therefore meet that person, meet the audience where they are, and then know that I'm taking them somewhere else. And maybe I'm taking to someone somewhere else, which is an even quieter, more focused, more listening. Or, our next speaker has spent 15 years in a monastery in Tibet meditating. I want people to kind of lean in. And so I might do that as well. So yeah, I guess, again, to summarize in that sense, it's like the sensitivity to know who you're talking to and then feel where they are and then know where you want to take them. Because hosting, leadership, communication generally has that kind of like we're doing something and we're going to move in, and that's the level of influence that's really powerful. But again, it's really driven by emotion.
I want to link you back to something that you've mentioned to me in the green room, and I want to return the favor. So looking back at the Impact event here in Bucharest, where Michelle Obama and Aaron Meyer spoke and you've shared the stage and panels with, what would be one lesson or a moment from that event that really stayed with you and that will influence your work in the future?
I think for me, it's that those environments work really well because the hard work and preparation that the organized teams have done it. Now, I could say, I loved it when one of the speakers said, like, don't take notes, right? And stick up for yourself or whatever. But actually, what I think that continues to stay with me is that preparation and hard work and collaboration are really powerful. And that preparation part, as you did, to prepare for today, to create the questions, to set the space, to create an environment, to welcome me here, all of that goes such a long way to build connection.
Can I link this on to your TEDx talk where you've talked to me about the 3 postures for the person listening if they're struggling with confidence or how they walk into the room and their imposter syndrome, perhaps even? How can they implement these 3 postures for 2 minutes a day for a week to become better at being unapologetically themselves?
How long have we got on this podcast?
I really have to take that.
I wish we had all day.
Yeah.
There's many layers to this. The premise for the TED Talk, which was kind of inspired myself by many people, one being Amy Cuddy, who talked around power postures. One influence and mentor of mine, a guy called Mark Walsh, who developed something called EYP, embodied yoga poses. And the idea that physicality, our physical body, the way that we sit and stand impacts the way that we think and we feel. You can either it's easier to change your actions than to change your mindset. So by standing instead of seating when we're talking, we have more access to our lungs. We have more space for dynamic movement, for body gestures, to stand tall versus that kind of what's becoming the very famous kind of hunched over, looking at phones, scrolling. Like physiology impacts the way that our blood flows, our oxygen flows. It puts us in different states and moods. And so, again, going back to that kind of Amy Cuddy power pose, 2 minutes, go and stand in a bathroom, go and stand somewhere where no one's watching you and throw your hands up in the air, take up space. You could beat your chest like a gorilla. You can jump on the spot. You can move around. What you're wanting to do is to create a level of intensity, openness, and wideness, because that's what confidence is. Confidence is not being a small acorn that's kind of tucked away under the grass and no one sees it. Confidence, what people are always wanting, which of course, I'm being very reductionist here because confidence comes in many ways, is the ability to feel easy, confident, and a level of whatever happens here, I'm going to be all right. Like I'm guessing, Sonia, you feel confident around your friends, right?
Yes.
Right? Knowing what you've done and what you've achieved. You probably also feel very comfortable around a group of CEOs. You're a terrible example. But it can be age, it can be hierarchy, it can be experience, it can be experience in whatever it is that or skill level. All of these things can make us feel like we're not good enough or we shouldn't be here. That whole imposter, like I'm not the right person. And that will have a physical impact. I'm guessing if the audience thinks at home or if they're listening to this, like if you don't feel confident, what starts to happen in your shoulders and in your head and your neck? And does it go in? Or does it go out? Does it go up or does it go down? Does it expand or does it contract?
Contract.
Is it heavy or is it light? So if we just reverse all of that and we go open and we go wide and we go up and and go light, 2 minutes of this, maybe it's just 5%. Maybe it's just 7%. But for 2 minutes a day, you're 10% more confident, you know, and all of those, you can really think about it and create those emotions. There's some really wonderful work out there, but it's just around this sense of it's easier to change your posture and your actions and physical behavior than it is to change that mindset that says, I'm no good. I'll just tell yourself you're good. I'm no good. I just tell yourself you're good. It just doesn't work. And so sometimes you just got to do and not think and just move forward with it. So yes, in that video, in the TEDx, which feels like such a long time ago, there were 3 postures. One was around setting healthy boundaries. One was about being openness and welcoming new experiences. And one was about an archer that was about focus. So they're just very simple, you know, physical postures that were kind of defined or have a definition that will hopefully will kind of start to bring around a new sense of feeling. And that's what we want. New feeling, new thought pattern.
And what you just said ties in beautifully with the art of visualization. Just closing your eyes for a minute, take a breath in and just picture yourself rocking on stage or talking to everyone at that networking event. And it will force your brain to think more positively and inevitably embrace your more confident self. And I want to take you back in time to when you were 17, my age. And for all the young professional and students out there that are looking to develop stronger communication, where is the best place to start?
Yeah, wonderful. Great question, because start your public speaking and communication skills. It doesn't matter if you're dealing with your partner, your parent, motivating a small team at work, whether you're negotiating a salary, whether you are speaking with the guy in the restaurant that you're hoping to create a table for 2 last minute because you haven't got a booking. Your communication skills will also cross everything, emotion, kind of professional and personal. So start speaking. There are speaking clubs all around the world. I joined one about 5 years ago called First Berlin Toastmasters, the organization itself is called Toastmasters. Toast, not as in the bread that you put in the toaster that comes out as toast, but toast is the idea of a lament, a kind of a raising of your glass in celebration of somebody, or raising of your green tea. To cheers something, to toast something, to celebrate something. There's 61,000 clubs, I think, across 153 different countries, give or take. They are welcoming spaces. They are accessible and very price-wise, very good. You know, anywhere between 10 to 20 euros a month for lots of experience, time, support. And in that, you're going to learn about speaking. And of course, the other part of speaking is listening, which is incredibly important. You'll learn also leadership skills. So this is it's just a fabulous community that really it totally changed my life. If I go back very quickly, I've got 5 older brothers. I'm the youngest of 6 boys. And my story, my kind of pain story that I tell everybody is that my earliest memories are around the dining room table. And there's lots of movement and everyone's shouting and fighting, and I had no voice, and I didn't know how to stand up for myself, and I didn't know how to lead my team, and I never knew how to speak properly. Now that I have Toastmasters, I just feel far more confident in myself. It's taught me skills that really have changed my life, that I am a better communicator with my partner when it comes to conflict. I'm better communicator with my partner when I'm wanting us to do certain things and influence a situation. At work, I became better at, again, negotiating salaries, getting better job kind of perks. You're also taken more professionally if you're somebody who can share stories to drive meaning and engage people. You are seen more professional if you don't and something what's. So that ability to communicate properly is so powerful, and I encourage anybody to really get going in it. Doesn't matter who you are, communication is a growth strategy for all. And I'll leave it there.
And I want to keep you in that mind space when you were 17, because I want to ask you now, if you could talk to your younger self, what's one piece of advice that, can lead you on to present day, considering your career?
I'm gonna start here with the real lack of insight or foresight that you have when we are young. We just don't know where, like, we have a plan, and my plan was to have kids by 32 and have a wife and have a house, and I got none of that. I moved in with my partner recently, 41. I've got no kids. I would like kids, but what I thought back then is totally different to where I was now. I went into fashion. I went to art college. I worked for 15 years in corporate fashion, working around the world. And then I finally went into coaching and in somatic and embodiment, and then into public speaking, and then into emceeing, which is where we met. So what would I tell myself, or what would I share with the listener that might be a nice mindset thought? Prepare and work hard. Stay open, stay curious. And the number one thing that they need to know that will change their life for success and their own happiness, and the word is connection. Everything you do is building or destroying connection. Your ability to sympathize and empathize with another person and speak to them with relevance, with a message, with objectives, your OMRs, your ability to connect with somebody beyond the professional into the personal, because at the end of the day, we are all humans. Your ability to connect with people to create a network that, whether it is 6 weeks around the corner, 6 months around the corner, or 6 years around the corner, and they come back to you and say, well, yeah, I remember Sonia. She's brilliant. I'd absolutely put her forward for a promotion or this role, or I think you would love Sonia because XYZ. Your ability to create connection will make you incredibly successful. And your ability to create connection will keep you in good company, with nice friends, with good family. It will keep your mental health good. It will keep you happy. When you are sad and lonely, you'll have people to call, which is what we are struggling with these days. So I don't want to sound old and millennial. And I think you can find technology can offer an ability to connect. Whatever it is, be good to people, be nice to people, continually build connections, because you'll never know what will come of it. Yeah, like connection. We're humans. And when we're not, and when we're disconnected, we fall apart. We are communal animals. We do better in groups, whether you're an extrovert and you like big groups, or whether you're an introvert and you like small groups. We need other people. And that is absolutely vital. So keep building connections, keep being nice to people, and don't burn bridges, because you never know when they're going to come around.
That hit home because, just listening to you talk about the emphasis of the importance of connection is something that really is important to me. I want to lead you back into the work that you do and how you prepare for audiences. You've touched upon objectives, your message, and your relevance and sensitivity before. This question is similar to it, but it's the tradition here on the SMARTA Podcast. And my last guest, Yvette, left this question over for you, Ben. And it's this. You've hosted and spoken at events across so many different industries, from corporate conferences to creative gatherings. How do you prepare yourself to truly connect with such diverse audiences? What strategies do you use to make sure every group feels seen, engaged, and inspired? It's a long one.
Yeah. And I think that kind of, the first bit is the mindset shift that you cannot connect to everybody. If you've got 100 people in the room, 10 people are going to love you, 80 people are going to like you, and 10 people aren't. And so you're just not gonna, you just have to let go of the 10. You just don't focus on the 10 people, because there's just the law of averages that you just can't please everyone. But what can you do to make sure that you try and connect as well as possibly with each and every one? Firstly, there's 3 things here, I think. Firstly, again, audience analysis and framing questions. Who are they? What do they know? What don't they know? Where are they from? What's their language? What are their objectives for being in the room? Why might they resist? Why do they care? What are they here for? What's the call to action? What do you want to influence in these people? Framing. Again, if anybody has any curious, you can use this even for writing speeches or writing pitches or creating pitches. I'm sure, Sonia, you're a professional as an expert. If anybody wants those framing questions, on my website, there's a resource page where there's loads of different stuff. Have a look for framing questions, and all of the kind of like 10 to 12 questions are there. It's a sheet you can download, but feel free to use those. But just like, who is it that I'm talking to? I think a second part is your cultural sensitivity. So forgive me for my Romanian is not very good, But like you come on stage and you say "Bunaziwa," right?
Yeah.
Like hello, and people respond to that. Just try it. You can speak a bit of Spanish. Bring it in there. If you're in Italy, share some cultural things that you love about the food that you ate last night. Like Italians want to, the same as Romanians. You want to talk about food. If I said to you, your people are so warm and the food is so good because it is so good. It's meat heavy. It's delicious, right? It's about having those pieces, which again, allow the audience to be seen. Wow. It's not just a random English guy that comes into the country and just starts. He's been here. So cultural relevance, because that will then bring people in. Context is important. Like if it's first thing in the morning, tell people good morning. Bet you're feeling still sleepy. Let's do some movement practice. Or like you've just had a big lunch. So you're being again sensitive to the context. And of course, as much as you possibly can do, create eye contact with people, because people can tell if you're just kind of. So find somebody in the audience, make eye contact with them, even if they're not smiling. Maybe they're just having a bad day. So those are the kind of things that you can look at. Prepare really well. Bring in some cultural things or contextual pieces. It could even be an article. So I read last night that in the city, there's a big like circus going on. Who's been to the circus? And I've been to the circus. Raise your hands. Okay, cool. Not many of you. Well, you should go because the circus is wicked. And I'm sure the circus in this country is amazing. So it's those things can be really helpful for bringing and bringing that connection in.
You can see behind me, I've got a big, large bookshelf. I love to read.
Yeah.
Ben, I'd like to know what your top 2 books that you would say completely changed your perspectives through which you view life with are.
I'm going to choose 3 because the first one is going to be a bit of a throwaway, which was Lord of the Rings. And I know that's really cliche, but I was never a big reader at school. I was terrified of reading out loud. But at one point in my life, I read all of them. And it was brilliant because it opened my mind to storytelling and the power of storytelling. So that's my kind of throwaway book. But it was brilliant. It did change my life because I now love reading. The second book is called The Power to be Disliked. And I cannot tell you the author's name because it was 2 authors that have written together, and it's a dialogue between a mentee and a kind of an old wise mentor, and it's set over 5 nights, and they have a discussion. You're nodding. Do you know it?
Yeah, it's The Courage to be Disliked. The authors are also, I have it in my library actually, but the authors just don't ring right now.
The other one is called The Joy of Movement by Kelly McGonigal. She is a Stanford or Harvard professor, PhD, and it looks at the power of exercise, movement, stretching, all of those things. Again, I come from a very family where we did a lot of being outside, climbing trees, throwing stuff, running. The physicality was a very important thing growing up. I wasn't very good at. I played all sorts of sports, not like very high at any of them, but that feeling when you do exercise, the more times you do exercise, the more times you feel good. And that is a massive mood shifter, and it will help. And from there, I've become super interested in everything from gut microbiome to gut brain axis. So the kind of foods that we eat, meditation and mindfulness practices, to also kind of just be good for the system, from supplements to nutrition to being outside and walking with my girlfriend and spending time looking at trees and sunlight and all of those things. A big part of the power of physicality. We get so caught in our heads in this kind of maelstrom of just mess and chaos and all of those things. So physically doing stuff. So Kelly McGonigal, The Power of Movement. The Joy of Movement. The Joy of Movement, I think, is the book called.
Just found out The Courage to be Disliked is written by Fumitake Koga and Ichiro Kishimi. And when I want to end it the way I started it. So if you can talk directly with a person listening right now, what would be one parting idea that you just love to give them if they were young and want to be the driver of their own life? Putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm being very old which is kind of the first thing that came up to my mind is just practice. Whatever you do, practice. I've got all sorts of things that are coming into my mind. I loved the Michael Jordan documentary, which is called The Last Dance, which is all about the Chicago Bulls. And I had this thing on my wall, which was like, why would I ever worry about a shot? Why would I ever worry about missing a shot that I haven't taken yet? And that sense of like yeah, but I could do it. But what happens if I fail? And you know what? You're just going to fail loads, fail and fail and fail loads. And life is going to throw you challenges, and you just got to get back up and practice. And the more that you kind of practice something, the more challenging something is, the more the feeling of achievement comes afterwards. And there's a physical part in the brain, anterior, mid, and cingulate cortex. There's a part of our brain that actually grows in size when we do things that are tough for us. It helps build resilience and determination and grit and all of those things. And there's a physical intensity to just practicing stuff, keep learning stuff, keep pushing yourself out of the comfort zone. God, I feel like I sound like my dad already. and just follow your curiosity, because you never know where it's going to take you.
I want to add on to something that you said about just fail. And this links to Stephen Bartlett's quote, fail fast. Because what if you were 30 failures away to finally reaching that goal? Ben Munday, thank you so much for being on the SMARTA podcast. I've absolutely loved sitting down with you and telling me about non and verbal communication and how we can become better at physical, mental, and emotional ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. It's been delightful to have that space. I hope your audience and listeners get something out of this, that there's many different ways to come at an issue or an obstacle or maybe a goal. And that can be, physically, mentally, emotionally, and just to keep going. Thank you.
Best of luck with everything that you've got going next.
Yeah. Totally.
Now, if you've made it this far into the video, I personally wanted to congratulate you for wanting to listen to something that can get you better at something that is vital for your career, whether you're interested in speaking or you just want to turn up with unshakable confidence into a room. Now would be the perfect time to double check that you're subscribed to the YouTube channel and to this podcast, because my guest list just increases. You'll want to make sure you don't miss it. And now, with that being said, if no one told you this today, I want to be the first to tell you that I believe in you and your ability to create the life of your dreams. I'm Sonia Marta, and you've listened to the SMARTA Podcast. I can't wait to see you here next Monday.